39, which is Delegate Vogel, Maryland Department of Health, list of diet pills, Delegate Vogel. I believe you have Pari Patel with you.
Yes, Madam Chair.
And then you have a Stanley Wong. Will you please bring that person up? And that will be the favorable, and then we'll call the unfavorable and then information. So please get started.
I believe Stanley's virtual.
Yes.
But thank you, Madam Chair. And I apologies. I was in the Economic Matters Committee for another bill that overlapped. Madam Chair, Committee, I'm here with House Bill 739 asking for a favorable report. This is a bill that has been two sessions in trying to make some progress on a very critical issue that Pari and many young Marylanders have brought to my attention over the years, which is the danger of unregulated or underregulated weight loss supplements that are sold in our state. These weight loss supplements are readily accessible to anyone walking into a CVS, a Walgreens, a Target, any sort of retail store, or purchasing them online. Last year, we came to the table with a piece of legislation that intended to regulate the sale of weight loss supplements to those under the age of 18, recognizing that they pose potential for real bodily harm, serious bodily harm, and are associated with a 258% greater risk of being diagnosed with an eating disorder. That is 258% based on studies. There have been bills across, there's been legislation across the country to address this issue. And we've had conversations with the Maryland Retailers Association, with the Maryland Department of Health. And what we have before you today is a bill that takes into account the concerns and the recommendations from all different stakeholders. And what we're trying to do here is start by compiling a list of which of these products are currently being sold in our state. The amendments that I distributed earlier, that I think were sent to you all earlier today, refines the process by which we're going to compile that list. The intention of creating that list, I'll be very straightforward, is that we will be able to come back in subsequent years and sponsor legislation that allows us to regulate these products using the lists that we will be creating. The challenge is that because of how this market and this industry operates, there's not one product, there's a number of different products. The products change names constantly. They're using all sorts of ingredients, some more dangerous than others. So I hope that, you know, we've been very, we've been working or trying to work with the Department of Health and other stakeholders in good faith. And what we need to do here, and this is, I'll leave you all with this, we have a real serious problem and it's causing real harm to children. I will work with anyone who wants to work with us to make some progress on this front. I think this legislation is a compromise that we can make some significant progress. So I urge a favorable report. But Madam Chair, I know we've had conversations and as I said, I'm happy to work with anyone to make some progress here. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, please.
Good afternoon, members of Maryland's Health Government Operations Committee. My name is Pari Patel, and I am a college student and a resident of Hagerstown, Maryland. Thank you for the opportunity to speak here with you today in strong support of HB0739, sponsored by Delegate Vogel. I was exposed to supplements at the age of 14, and as a competitive athlete, I turned to over-the-counter diet pills as a way to see immediate results. During this period of struggle, no one was there to speak to me about the dangers of these products. My friends, my coaches, and teammates even recommended the use of these supplements. Finally, through deep research, I eventually realized the ingredients might be dangerous, but still, it was hard for me to believe because I so firmly trusted that our government would not let dangerous products like these be sold to me. I was convinced that our government would put a stop to this if these supplements were truly bad. My story is one of millions, but it begs the question, how do we expect teens to understand the negative effects of these drugs? What's worse, these products are marketed as harmless, natural, and even healthy. But the truth is that they are none of these things. They are unregulated and they are dangerous. And our young people are paying the price. We cannot allow for this to continue. We cannot risk another young person to fall victim to this industry. We cannot allow our children to be put at risk by these harmful products. It is time for our government to take action. Creating a list of diet pills that are accessible for consumers is a vital step in protecting the health of Maryland youth. We must prioritize the health and well-being of our young people and ensure that they are not being misled and put at risk by these harmful products. I implore a favorable report on HB 739.
Excellent timing. Thank you very much for your testimony. I'm going to go to our virtual favorable witness, Mr. Huang.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and the honorable members of the Health and Government Operations Committee. My name is Stanley, and I'm a sophomore in college. I am testifying on behalf of the Strategic Training Initiative on the Prevention of Eating Disorders in favor of House Bill 0739. The dietary supplements industry generates billions of dollars in revenues from consumers annually and are not required to undergo rigorous pre-screens and testings by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration. The industry deceptively markets these products to youth as promoting safe and effective weight loss. As a youth who has lived experience, I and many of my peers have been the victims of persuasive, unrealistic, and misleading advertisements soliciting over-the-counter dietary supplements. When I was 14, I began using a variety of weight loss supplements that were easily accessible in groceries or supplement stores, none of which required parental permission or had any age-related restrictions. They fueled my psychological distress into an eating disorder and into further extreme measures to lose weight and starve myself of essential nutrients, especially at a young age. But my story and experience is not unique. Youth are increasingly using these products and remain unaware of the harms these products pose. In fact, the American Academy of Pediatrics issued a strong warning cautioning youth against using these OTC weight loss supplements. Additionally, each year, 23,000 Americans end up in emergency rooms because of dietary supplements, and a quarter of those are linked to weight loss supplements. Research has documented time and time again cases of adulterated OTC weight loss products that are laced with pesticides, steroids, heavy metals, and can cause stroke, cancer, liver injury, or even death. An adolescent and young adult women who use OTC pills face 6 times the risk of being diagnosed with an eating disorder within the next 3 years. This act would publicize the vast assortments of toxic and underregulated products and serve as an important incremental step towards protecting youth from these products. Additionally, this act may signal to youth, parents, and public health officials and organizations that these products should not be the de facto position to promote healthy weight loss or be touted as safe. Other states have already begun taking measure to document, and I urge that the honorable members of this committee to join in support for HB 0739. Thank you.
Thank you. And I apologize for the mispronunciation. Try better next time. Questions for this panel? Delegate Bagnall.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And thank you for this bill. Delegate, you had spoken to conversations you were having with the Department of Health, but we have a letter of opposition based on the broad text of the bill. Can you speak to where you are in those conversations?
Yeah, so based on the thank you for the question, Delegate. Based on the conversations we had with the Department of Health, I sponsored or I put forward amendments that seek to address those 2 concerns. I hope they're in your system. If not, they should have been emailed to you all. The first thing that we're doing here is addressing the issue that the Department of Health put forward, communicated to us, which I agree with, which is that this could, depending on how this list is released or advertised or put online, it could appear to be an endorsement of these products. The amendment that we put forward is that this list no longer is needed to be released publicly online, but rather sent in a report to the legislature. I'm also willing to work on specific language for how we can make it very clear that this list is not an endorsement of these products. The second amendment that I drafted is to streamline the process and reduce the burden on the Department of Health to create this list. These products are already being categorized by retailers as either weight loss supplements, weight loss and detox supplements, or diet pills, depending on which of the retailers you're looking at. They're already doing that in their back end system. So what the amendment says that we remove any language in the bill around ingredients, around labeling and marketing, which I know poses a concern in terms of identification. And we say, we want a list of the products that are being currently sold by retailers with over 10 physical locations in the state, products that are categorized in their systems as weight loss supplements, weight loss and detox supplements, and diet pills, which should be as easy as exporting a spreadsheet and sending it over. I don't want to minimize the work that needs to be done, but I don't think it's going to cost $233,000 a year to do that.
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you. Just, if you could make sure that we get those amendments, because I don't think we had them in advance of the hearing. So thank you.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you, Delegate.
Any further, are you thinking, Delegate Casoni? Okay.
Chair, could you go back just a second? Because I think what I heard you say was this list wouldn't actually be published. It would just be sent to us. Is that what it is?
To start, yes, Delegate. I think to start, it would just be sent to us as a basis for the bills moving forward. And I want to be very clear. The intent here is eventually to regulate the sale of these products. But it's really hard for the retailers to go about doing that if they don't have a list to work off of. I just want to address at first, right, the Department of Health's concern that if we put this list available online, it could seem to be an endorsement of these products.
Did you want to follow up, Delegate, or do you have your answer? Okay. Okay, I don't see any other questions for this panel. First of all, I want to thank the young people for taking time out of your day, coming and spending it with us and providing your stories. It's really important for us to hear stories from the people who are experiencing the need to demonstrate to us the need for policy changes. So thank you. Thank you both very much. I appreciate that. Thank you, Delegate.
Thank you.
And I'm going to call up Sarah Price, please. You guys can go. Or stay, Delegate, if you'd like. Sarah, have you signed up for information?
Yes, that is correct, Madam Chair. Good afternoon, honorable committee members. I'm Sarah Price here on behalf of the Maryland Retailers Alliance. We are informational at this point because we wanted to give you a little bit of background for where we are on the ultimate goal of what Delegate Vogel wants to achieve. We have no position on the efficacy of these products. We make no claims about if people should be taking them or what they do or don't do. We are simply selling the items. So if the goal is to, what we came to last year was if the products are identified and we are told, here's the list of products, you have to ID upon the sale, we are fine with that. Initially, when this was first introduced last year, it included provisions such that retailers would have to keep all of the impacted products behind the counter or locked up in a cage. We did have concerns about that. So we did reach a point where if the items were just ID'd for, similar to cold medicine, we can do that. The place where we start butting heads with the sponsor is on how the list of impacted items is produced. So we were the ones who had suggested that the state produce a list of impacted items. We had some concerns about the ability for retailers to go through with the previous specifications regarding ingredients and marketing strategies. We had concerns about the retailer's ability to properly identify every possible product that this could be. We didn't want things to be left out, and we didn't want the responsibility for one business's list to fall on the head of, the individual who happens to be coding those products that day into the system. So as long as the ultimate goal is for a list to be provided to us and then we ID, we're okay with it.
Thank you. Questions for this witness? I have a question. So I think you just heard the delegate say that you have in your inventory the different categories of supplements.
Mhm.
First of all, is that true?
Yes, I mean, every item that is sold by a store typically is coded into some product category in their system.
So was that something that could be delivered to a central source who is gathering this information, ostensibly the Maryland Health Department?
The concerns that we have are that not every store uses the exact same product categories. When you search for supplements on different store websites, you're going to get results that don't always match up. If you search for weight loss supplement, you might start getting fiber pills or apple cider supplements, things that aren't necessarily advertised as weight loss, but maybe they're getting pulled because the word supplement is on the bottle. So we just had some concerns about the accuracy of the information that could get pulled, and the fact that some items might fall into a certain category in one store, but not in another. So we thought that the best way to get accurate, consistent information across the board for all businesses is for the research basically to be done by one entity rather than every business saying, well, here's how we do it, but maybe not how they do it.
Thank you. That's helpful.
Mhm.
And Delegate Bagnall.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I think I'm just following on with your question. So if the department was to populate that list and then provide it to the retailers, it would make it easier to sort of uniformly code. Is that?
Yes,
Is that okay?
yes, and you would have consistency in all retailers because every single store would be looking to the same resource as opposed to maybe CVS says this is one thing and Walgreens says it's another.
Thank you. Any other questions? Seeing none, thank you very much for being here today and your patience in waiting for this bill.
Yes, thank you.
I'm going to call a panel of unfavorables. We're going to go with Dr. K, who I think we should have put a reserve seat on your sign on your chair. And you want to go ahead and pull up Mr. Fabricant online? And when you're ready.
Thank you, Vice Chair Collison. I'm okay without having a designated seat. We'll give it that. Thank you once again for having me here to speak about House Bill 739. For the record, I'm Dr. Nilesh Kalyanaraman, the Deputy Secretary for Public Health, Maryland Department of Health. So, just want to lead off with, at the department, we know that addressing eating disorders in youth is a serious issue, and we support efforts to make sure that products that are available are safe and are also safe to use for youth, and to also help guide and do education around what should and shouldn't be used. Our concern with this bill is around its execution. So this bill would require the department to make determinations on what are diet pills or diet supplements. And I think there's really two paths here that both are particularly challenging. One is that the FDA has not made a designation of what constitutes a diet pill, a diet supplement. They are the federal agency that is responsible for this. And, hearkening back to prior testimony when we were talking about the role of the FDA, it puts us in a position where we are trying to do the work that the FDA hasn't done and isn't doing at this moment. And so if we were to start making those determinations, right, if we were to start pulling products and saying, okay, we are making a determination, that requires a set of expertise that frankly we don't have as a state health department, because that is a federal function and a federal function that's not actually being executed. And I would say that not just the fiscal note is the issue there, but also what we would have to make determinations as to what constitutes a dietary supplement. And that gets into tricky questions around efficacy, harm, labeling. The alternative, which was suggested, which is to rely on the retailers' definitions, then swings us to the other side, which is if we rely on their definitions, then we're not really performing a function anymore because the retailers are defining it. And it's not clear to me what us pulling together a spreadsheet of whatever if I may finish
Yes,
quickly.
please finish.
It's not clear to me what what function we serve them, because however the retailers define a diet supplement is what we're going to go with, right? And so to that question of what are they defining? I've been on these websites, we've all been to pharmacies, we see the range of products and they range from all sorts of compounds to take this drug, to heat this bar, to here's some cranberry juice, right? It's a messy field. And I think that it takes a lot more effort to disentangle it. And that is our concern and that is our opposition to this bill. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. Dr. Fabricant?
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen of the committee. My apologies for not being there in person. I had to take my daughter to Hopkins, Cystic Fibrosis Clinic at Hopkins. NPA was founded in 1936 and has taken a role in ensuring quality for consumers that manufacturers follow the rules. Prior to my role as CEO and president at FDA, and consistent with what Dr. K just said, I was the principal detangler for the FDA. I was in charge of dietary supplement programs under the Obama administration from 2011 to mid-2014. During that time, we obviously made great policy strides, but we also took significant enforcement action. Some of that enforcement action was based on adverse event reporting. The same adverse event reporting for dietary supplements federally is in place for drugs, medical devices, both over-the-counter and RX drugs. You would happen to know, if you FOIA that system, that there's a causality associated with a number of prescription drugs on eating disorders. Over thousands have been submitted since 2019, approximately about 10,000. In that same time period, there have been absolutely zero submitted to the FDA on dietary supplements leading to an eating disorder. So while I think everyone, and especially the industry, wants to protect consumers and protect the children, we wouldn't have consumer confidence that we do, that about 70% of the country uses a dietary supplement every day. Those same ingredients, like vitamin D, is actually responsible for fat metabolism, things like that. So to Dr. K's point, there would be a lot of confusion. But furthermore, there's not a causal link. There's not even an associative link between dietary supplements and eating disorders. So what is the problem we're trying to solve? And also, tools like getting a list to the legislature, what exactly is that intended to do? So these are all problems why we strongly oppose this bill. We appreciate, again, everyone wants to protect the health of children, no one more than the industry. Certainly, we saw during public health pandemic how important vitamin D status, folic acid status was to everyone in this country, especially youth. So while we appreciate the efforts here, it's a misguided policy and we would like to see it voted against. Thank you very much for your time. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much, sir. Let me open it up to questions from the committee. Okay, Delegate White Holland.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for your testimony. I just wanted to follow up again with the Health Department related to this. And I know, I'm not sure if you have seen the amendment provided. So is it still the case that the Health Department doesn't have the expertise and would need to acquire the appropriate expertise to create this list? So with this amendment, does it address the concerns, or if not, is there anything else that you could propose to work with the sponsor in this way?
The amendment that I saw, I don't believe addresses our concern, which is that. So I think it addressed one of the things we had raised with the bill sponsor, which was just the sheer magnitude. So when we looked, there were 2,100 pharmacies in the state and another 100 or so GNCs and vitamin shops. So we were talking about the magnitude, and I think the amendments get to some of that, but that's just the volume of stores. It doesn't get to the substantive issue we have, which is we would then be defining what a dietary supplement, like what we, the Maryland Department of Health, are saying this is a dietary supplement, this is not. And that is absolutely not something we have the expertise to do.
Thank you. Delegate Bagnall.
Chair, it's interesting because we've been wrestling with this at the federal level for 30 years, right? Since the Dietary Enactment Supplement Health and Education Act. And it appears that we're not going to make progress at the federal level. So much like you said on our previous bills, we do need to look at what, if anything, we can do at the state. So would you be willing to work with the bill sponsor, look at maybe what other states have done and see if there is a space in which there would be a suitable action that the state could take.
So I'd be happy to do that, and we have looked into this. There's two states that have passed similar legislation, New York and California. California was vetoed by the governor, and in the New York legislation, there was no involvement at the health department. It was a straight pharmacies or retailers may not sell to these products labeled as such to minors.
Okay, good, Delegate. Okay, seeing no further questions, that concludes the hearing on House Bill 739. Thank you all for your time and your testimony this afternoon, and good luck, Doctor, there at Hopkins. And we will call the